What is going on, everybody? And in this week's video, what Rob and I are going to be bringing to you is a discussion on support systems. And before we get into support systems, support our channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the Over 20 YouTube channel. If you guys get value from this video, please pass it along to friends, people in the same space as you that you feel like would get benefit from this discussion.
How we're going to start off support systems is by labeling them as three. So number one of support systems that we have could be families and friends. Second one could be like your mentor or your distant mentor, somebody that has a skill that you want and you are following them to be able to get there. And the third one is people in your industry. So like other traders, other people that have been around in the game because they can relate to you. We're going to start relating it to the people in your industry. So other traders.
100%. And I just want to talk about pros and cons of building a support system with people who are trading in your space. And the first point that I want to make towards the pros of this is you can communicate with people who have actually done what you're going through right now and have had the experience of overcoming whatever it is that you're looking for support with. And that does tie into mentorship as well too. So they kind of go hand in hand, believable people within the space of trading, as well as people who you could kind of consider a mentor, right? Another positive or another pro towards having a group or a network that you rely on like that is that the type of information that's being passed around the group is probably practical and is probably applicable to whatever your situation is right now. You know what I mean? Just through formulating a relationship, you could call it a support system, right? Formulating a relationship with a mentor. I was receiving information from this person that was practical and that I could literally apply to the charts the day that I got it, right? To start refining and getting better and so on and so forth. The third thing that I think that is a huge pro to having one of these types of groups is that your perspective on things can be broadened, right? And what tends to happen, trading is a very you versus you type of profession.
Yeah.
And it's, you're spending a lot of time when you're trading, you're normally by yourself, right? And being able to share perspectives with other people and really get to see a broader picture of what their approach looks like, how they think, how they operate, right? Which is a huge goal that we actually have, is to increase your perspective on things like emotional intelligence and the stuff that we talk about. I really think there's a lot of value to be found in something like that.
I want to go into a certain spin on family and friends really quickly. Usually this topic is most family and friends, they won't even understand exactly what you're doing. At least for me in my personal realm, my parents don't exactly understand how MetaTrader 4 works and everything so far. They won't understand, they still look at charts as a hard graph and everything so far. And that's all right. I don't expect them to understand. I don't expect them to I don't have a sense of entitlement that they need to understand it. But what they do need to realize from you is how much you actually believe in this and exactly where you're going, painting the vision to your family and everything so they can support you. Don't act like they're going to be your complete fans and cheerleaders either and everything. They can support you, they can love you and everything so far, but they'll always try to look at what's the safest opportunity for you and what's the right thing in their eyes at times when they won't even be saying anything thus far. Just know that they will be able to support you and take what you can from them. Because ultimately, we all want to get to a certain goal and everybody could understand that. Just not everybody understands the how.
Complete sidebar to the point that you were saying, I think I just want to reiterate it because it's so important. If they don't understand your vision, they're probably going to have a hard time supporting where you're going.
Exactly.
Right? Because your vision is going to give you a clear direction, and therefore by portraying your vision to them, it's going to give them a clear direction of, oh, so this is where my son or daughter is planning on going, right? With the support systems, going around with people in your industry, mentorship, that type of deal. One of the things that I do want to bring up as well, I talked about a lot of positives about that space. I just want to bring up, I don't want to call them cons, more so of just things that potentially could happen that you should watch out for, that you shouldn't fall subject to within a group like this. And the first thing that I want to talk about is misinformation, right? And finding people who, like I said, I use the term believability, have they done what they say they're doing and what they're teaching on, right? And it's you want to learn from people who have had that practical experience in this space to really understand and to be able to give you a focal point of where you're headed, and just giving you sound advice, right? I guess that's the big point, is seek sound advice and just watch out. I would say have like healthy skepticism towards whatever information you're receiving, and go through your own process of like validating if it's right or wrong. Another point that I want to talk about is like you need to be disciplined and committed if you're gonna do anything, right? If you say, hey, look, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have this group and this and this and this and that, like you need to actually follow through on the decision that you made. And another thing that could potentially steer you in the wrong direction is by making a decision and making a commitment to, hey, I'm gonna learn from this person or this group, or I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And making that commitment and then not following through on it, because once you start breaking all these commitments that you're making to yourself, you're going to start spiraling downward. You're going to stop. You're not going to finish things that you start, so on and so forth. So I think that's a very, very valuable one that you guys should just keep in the back of your mind. Like, hey, look, if I say I'm going to do this, like I'm really going to do it, and I'm going to follow through with it. And the third one, that's just something to look out for, is where does your dependency lie? Right? And last week's we talked about self-accountability and self-trust. And if your dependency and you become, it starts to shift and mold into the group, and you become codependent on like your network of people, and your security and your strength doesn't lie in like self-trust, but rather like you're instilling all of your trust into the group, you're not going to be able to make decisions on your own when it comes to executing trades, right? You're not going to be able to get into the market and get out of the market efficiently if you can't have that self-trust with yourself that you can execute a profitable position.
No, bro, that's really good, man. And just to like close off this video, why we actually wanted to talk about support systems and everything so far is probably something that you really don't hear about, you know, in trading for beginners and everything so far in the trading realm. Is think about it like this: the most high performing individuals in the world, they have support systems. They're just labeled differently. Right. Celebrities have PR teams and everything thus far. It's called entourage and everything so far. People in business and everything so far. Business owners have other business owners that they could talk to about it, and that's within the same industry and everything so far. So think about this, like when you hit a certain level and everything thus far, think about like a net coming right under you and everything thus far. If you're on a certain level and then you try to fall, it's not like you're gonna fall straight back to the floor, but if you have a healthy support system, you basically have a net right here, and then you'll be able to fall on them because they could give you healthy criticism, everything, practical steps so you could get back on and keep going to the next level and everything so far.
100%. And just to tag on that, like you gave me like this big realization of like, you guys may or may not know, so I'm in Arte Syndicate, which is Ed Milet and Andy Frisella's mentorship group, and I never looked at it as a support system, but like it just gave me a completely different perspective on it. And it's like joining a support system of people who are actually doing it, like all the things that we were just talking about, like avoiding misinformation and people who are committed and so on and so forth, like people who are really doing it in the space. It creates, like you said, like a safety net, or it creates like a baseline standard of like, this is the absolute bare minimum that you can fall down to, right? And by having a group like that, I think that it by default raises your standards, or raises like your safety net of like, we're gonna catch you at a minimum of here. Right. So I think that's a super powerful point that you made. But I hope that you guys got a lot of practical value that you can take away from this video and just go implement into your life right now. So if you guys, like I said, if you guys got value, like, comment, subscribe, support the channel, and we'll see you guys on next week's video.